Who are we? We stand amongst the world's greatest universities, ranked highly for our exceptional academic programs that educate and prepare students for the working world and contribute towards Africa's growth and sustainability. We offer over 1,300 academic programs across 9 faculties and over 7 campuses. Our Faculty of Engineering, Built Environment and Information Technology, along with our Faculty of Veterinary Science and Faculty of Law, are ranked among the top faculties of their kind in the world. Our lecturers are passionate and provide you with more than just textbook answers, using 21st century technology that makes learning interactive and engaging. With world-class facilities and resources at your fingertips, you can be sure that your tertiary education will extend far beyond the lecture hall. We aspire to create a campus atmosphere that's both traditional and progressive. Here, we teach and learn, innovate, impact, and live the UP way. And this ensures that our students are happy and connected as a community. Students have the opportunity to participate in a wide variety of clubs and activities both on and off campus, creating a distinctive, exciting, and diverse student life. Our institution is also home to some of the best sports people in the world. UP athletes have represented South Africa in the World Student Games and have celebrated countless victories on sports fields and in the Varsity Cup finals, earning our athletes and officials their colors in the process. It all boils down to one ultimate winning factor. Our graduates, who not only excel in academics, also acquire immeasurable skills, including leadership, digital literacy, self-management, and a strong work ethic in their time at UP. The graduates we produce are driven by purpose. They provide solutions to the world's challenges. Who are we? We are the University of Pretoria.
A warm welcome to everybody joining us today, and thank you to those, well done to those of you who have been admitted or conditionally admitted to the University of Pretoria.
We're also glad that you have chosen to apply at UP, and I'm sure that you'll find your student life here to be exciting and rewarding.
Before you're able to proceed with registration, you'll need to complete and sign a contract between you and the University of Pretoria. This contract is accessible online through the UP portal, Student Centre at www.up.ac.za/portal student.
Once completed, make sure you print and sign the contract before sending it to the university. This will ensure that you are able to officially register as a student later on and avoid the long queues during registration week. Be sure to note that this contract still allows you to apply at other tertiary institutions and only becomes legally binding upon registration.
We know that when you applied, you have selected multiple study choices. Please note, you do not need to fill a new contract out for every study choice, as your contract is applied for all of them. You also only need to complete it once before your first year, and it is applied throughout your undergraduate degree. Therefore, if you register for the first time for your undergraduate studies, you need to sign a new contract. This will cover your entire undergraduate years of study. Then, if you register for the first time for your honours degree, you need to sign another contract covering your honours studies. Then for your master's, then for your PhD or doctorate.
Now, today we'll discuss and proceed with a step-by-step breakdown on how to access, complete, and then finally hand in your contract. Now, to follow along with this tutorial, we suggest that you use Google Chrome. So, without further ado, let's begin.
Let's go for it. The first step as a first-time user of the UP portal involves the following steps. Go to the following URL, www.up.ac.za/portal student. Once you have arrived on the page, click on the New Users link found just below the Login box. You will then need to log in with your username. This will be a U followed by your student number, your MPIL ID that's found on your application letter. Then you will also need to fill in your national ID number. I'm just going to zoom in a little so we can see this a bit more clearly. Okay, after filling in your username and your national ID, you may click Proceed. We will now follow the steps to create a new password. Let's now confirm our new password and click Proceed.
Please note that your password does require at least one uppercase letter.
Next, we need to set our challenge questions. Select 3 questions from the list that you will find on screen. These questions will be used in case you forget your password and you require another method of accessing your portal. Choose the 3 that you will remember the answers to. Once you have chosen, go ahead by entering your answers and click the Save button indicated. And there we have it.
Okay, now that you've completed the first step, you are ready to access the UP portal. You can go once again to www.up.ac.za/portal student if you're not already there. Now, you can start by logging in with your username, which is the U followed by your MPIL ID or your student number, and then your password that you created during the step 1. Okay, when you have successfully logged in, now you need to locate and select the Student Center hyperlink that should appear on the page in order to access your personal information. Now, you have to click on Student Center in the list under the Student Center heading. And then, as soon as you've done that, the page will open and you have to click on the Student Center icon. Now, once the Student Center page is opened up, you can scroll down to the online contract link in the admissions column.
Now we're at the third step of the process when you actually need to complete your online contract. A completed and signed contract between you and the University of Pretoria should be submitted to the university as soon as possible. So to begin the process of completing the contract, you will click on the link at the top that says, "Please read these instructions before completing the contract." Proceed by reading the instructions and checking the box that states you have read the instruction notes. Once you have done so, you can then click Continue.
Now, before we move forward, we're going to take a minute to conduct a quick poll and see whether you're keeping up with the pace. The poll will be found in the chat section, which should be when you scroll down. So this will be approximately 1 minute for you guys to fill in the poll. Off you go. Great. Now that we've answered that and we can see you're all keeping up, we can carry on. Let's just quickly have a look at the instructions that you can see before you complete your contract. Now, these are important for you to read as it also gives you instructions on how to complete your contract, which we will also go through during the rest of the process. Let's read the instructions. Please provide all the information required below. Once you've completed the contract, click Validate to validate the data you've entered. If all the required information is correct, click Submit and then Print or View PDF to generate a PDF file of the contract. Print this file, sign it, and obtain all the signatures of the relevant parties. Please note that once you've clicked Submit, no changes to the contract are possible. If you're under the age of 18 years, details of your parent or guardian are needed. The parent or guardian is required to co-sign the contract. The signature of the parent or guardian serve as a consent and assistance to the student to enter into this agreement. If you're under the age of 25 years of age, an undertaking by a surety is required. This surety may be the same person as your parent or guardian of the student. If you're under the age of 25 years and you're financially independent, you must furnish proof of income sufficient to settle due and payable fees. If a student under the age of 25 years is sponsored by a bursar, an undertaking by a surety other than the bursar is still required. The printed contract must be signed, initialed by all parties as soon as possible thereafter, and the completed and signed contract must be submitted to the Client Service Centre or sent by post to Client Service Centre, University of Pretoria, Private Bag, X20, Hatfield, 0028. Now, if you understand these instructions, please click on I have read the instruction notes and then you can continue.
Once you have completed reading the instructions, you will be required to enter all the information in the fields provided. In the personal details column, the information will already be pre-populated according to what you have supplied when applying to the University of Pretoria. Please check that these details are correct. If they are not correct, you can email the Student Service Centre at ssc@up.ac.za to ensure they are corrected before you go on completing your online contract. If the details are correct, in the personal details column, you can then bring your attention to the next section. Your applicant domicilium is your physical address and not your postal address. If you filled in a physical address during the application process, this column will already be filled in. Please ensure that this is the correct address. If not, you can amend it yourself. If you have not provided a physical address in your application process, you have the opportunity to fill this in now. Let's start by filling in your country. You can click on the magnifying glass icon at the top and type your country's name in at the description box. You can now select Look Up. Your country's code and name should appear in the search results below. Click on your country code to populate the country box. Next up will be your marital status. This will be updated according to the information you supplied on your application and usually states unknown unless you state that you are married in community of property during your application. If you wish to change your marital status here, you can click on the magnifying glass icon and click on the applicable marital status to change it. Now we can proceed to fill address line 1. If you need more address lines, you can make sure to use the additional boxes to fill in your address. Once completed, you must click on the Select City or Postcode box. Type in your city, suburb or postcode into the box and press Search. Select the correct street code from the list by pressing the box that says Select. It is important that you select a street code as it needs to be a residential address. Now let's double check that all our details are correct in the applicant domicilium column before we continue. We will now conduct another poll just to make sure that everybody is still managing with the process. We will allow 30 seconds for this poll, so please let us know.
If everything is correct so far, you can now move on to the parent or guardian details. Okay, now you're going to type in your parent or guardian's details, their last name and their first names, and national ID number in the box provided. Start with their last name. Next, their first name. Then you type in the national ID number. Okay. Now, should your parents or guardians be married in community of property, please select the box provided. This will add a line for both parents to sign at the end of the contract. If your parents or guardians are not married in community of property, you can just leave this box blank and then move on to the address. Now, it is very important that this address is also a physical address and not a postal address. Now, once again, click on the magnifying glass icon. Now type in the name of your country in the description box. Press Look Up, and then select your country and click on the country code in the search results below. Now you can fill the address in the address line boxes, and you can use the additional ones if it needs be. Okay. Now you can select the city or postcode by clicking on the button. Now you can type in your city, suburb or postcode in the box provided and then press search. Now remember, it must be a street code and not a box code. So press select next to the correct street code. There we go, that should have populated it. Now there's also an optional bit here, an optional box, for you to fill in your parent or guardian's email address. Okay. Now please make sure that these details are correct before continuing to the next session. If they are correct, then you can carry on to the financially independent column.
If you are under the age of 25 and financially independent, this means you are working and able to pay your own fees. You should tick this box. Please note that you will need to provide proof of income in the student's name if you tick this box. The proof of income can be in the form of a salary slip, a trust fund letter, or a bank statement. The proof of income must be attached to your final hard copy of your contract at the end. Should you choose this option, you will not need a fee guarantor or surety.
Now, if you are not financially independent, then you can just leave this box empty. But then a fee guarantor's details will then be required. You can now bring your attention to the fee guarantor details column. Now, If your fee guarantor is the same as your parent or guardian, then you can just click the box that says fee guarantor, same as parent. This will now populate the boxes with the information you have provided above.
If your fee guarantor is not the same as your parent or guardian that was filled in above, then you will now need to fill in their details. Please note that these details need to be your parent or your guardian, and not your bursar or your sponsor or NSFAS. Begin by typing in your fee guarantor's last name, and then follow it with their first name, as well as their national ID number in the boxes provided. Remember to tick the box if your fee guarantor is married in community of property. This will again add a line for both parties to sign at the end of your contract. However, if your fee guarantor is not married in community of property, leave this box blank.
Okay, you can now continue to the address. And this also has to be a physical address and not a postal address. Now click on the magnifying glass icon again, Type in the name of your country in the description box, press look up, and then click on your country code. Now you can complete the address line. Okay, now press on the select city or postcode button and then type in the city, suburb, or postcode in the box provided. Then press search. Now remember once again, it must be street code and not a box code. So click the correct street code, and there we go. Now there's also an option at the bottom of this section for you to type in your fee guarantor's email address. Okay, now please read through the details you've provided thus far and ensure that everything is accurate. Now, if you are satisfied with the information that you've provided, you can press Validate at the bottom of your screen. Should an error message pop up saying that you did not read the instruction at the beginning phase, please do so. Click the box that says you've read the instructions, continue, and then you can try and validate again. Now, if your information has been validated successfully, you can now press OK.
Click on the Submit button and a pop-up window will appear that reads, "Once you have submitted, no changes are allowed. Are you sure you want to continue?" If you wish to make further amendments, you have to express no and then alter the information before you are able to submit again. If all the information is correct, you can click on Yes. If you discover a mistake after you have already validated and submitted your contract, you will need to contact the Student Service Centre at ssc@up.ac.za and request us to reactivate the contract in order for you to make the necessary corrections.
You will now be able to click on the Print or View PDF button. This should open a new browser window. Now, if it fails to open, please check your pop-up blocker settings in your browser. To see instructions on how to disable pop-up blockers in various different internet browsers except for Google Chrome, please see the links that we've provided in the comments below with the correct steps to do so. We will now proceed to disable our pop-ups for Google Chrome. So, in Google Chrome, click on the hamburger menu, which are the three vertical dots at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Now scroll down to Settings. There you'll find the Privacy and Security section. Okay, now make sure to click Site Settings, and then scroll down to the Content heading. Select the pop-ups and redirects option. The option Blocked, in brackets, Recommended, will be listed first with a grey switch icon. Click on this switch to allow pop-ups. Great. Now when you've successfully been able to view your PDF in a new browser window, you can navigate to the top right-hand corner of your window and press on the download button in the middle. Okay. Or you can print it directly from your browser window by clicking the third printer icon. Okay.
When you are printing your contract, please ensure that your paper size is set to A4 and not letter, as this will affect the boxes required for signing and initialing your contract. You should now be able to change this in your settings. You can print your document and sign it. Since you are not allowed to sign this contract electronically, you will need to print it and sign it in blank ink. At the bottom of each page, there is a block where all parties must initial. Initialing must also be done in black ink. This has to be done at the bottom of every single page for all parties required in the process. In the case of a divorced parent, only one parent needs to sign the contract. The UP Legal Department advises that such parents should also conclude their own separate agreement in order to cover themselves in cases where the parents are responsible for tuition fees. If you make a mistake during the signing of the contract, you cannot use Tippex to correct it. You have to print another one and sign it again.
Okay, now on page 4, you should complete the date along with signatures by you, the student, and a witness. On the last page, you should also fill in the date. This page must also be signed by the surety, a witness, and if the surety was married in community of property, their spouse as well. Now please read through the contract very carefully and make sure that all the signatures have been provided. Remember, if you are financially independent, make sure that you've attached the proof of payment, your proof of income at the back as we mentioned earlier.
Now, due to COVID-19 restrictions, you can only post or courier contract to the University of Pretoria. The postal address is Student Service Centre at the University of Pretoria, Private Bag X20 Hatfield 0028. For courier, please ensure that you make use of the physical address, which is the corner of Linwood and Roper Roads, University of Pretoria, Student Service Centre, Hatfield 0083. Please remember, any faxed or email contracts are not accepted.
Okay. Now, the UP internal post office delivers the contracts to us for processing, which takes a minimum of 3 to 5 days. However, with many contracts being posted or couriered, there have been some delays. So make sure that you continuously check your UP Portal Student Centre for contract updates.
Let's see if there are any updates on our contract.
Okay, now when a contract has been received and processed by UP, the contract will no longer appear under the Hold section in the Student Centre. If UP receives a contract that is invalid, the contract will appear under To-Do list as contract outstanding. In such cases, students need to print, sign, and submit a new contract to UP. The contract hold and to-do list items will only be removed once a valid contract has been received. There is no due date for your contract. Just make sure that UP has received a valid contract before your registration date.
You should now be able to successfully complete your UP online contract. If you have decided not to accept the offer to study at the University of Pretoria, please reject the offer on the UP portal under the admissions section in your student centre. This will allow us to plan for enrolment. Before we conclude today's session, let's take another few minutes for you to post any remaining questions so that we can assure that you are fully aware of the entire process.
Thank you so much for the questions. We've received quite a few from you, and we can continue with answering them. Okay, so the first question we have is, I've already filled in the contract, but I was not given an option for fee guarantor. And what if I'm on full scholarship, hence the scholarship team is the one funding for everything?
This is a good question. This is probably due to the fact that you are over 25 years old and do not need a surety.
Okay.
Okay, so I see we have another question coming in, and this one is, how many witnesses need to sign the contract?
Now, only one witness has to sign on the contract, but you must make sure that that witness signs in all of the sections. Now, the next one we've got is, I'm thinking of getting to UP before filling the form. Is this advisable, as I wouldn't be having my guardian around, but I have the sponsor?
This is not advised, as you will need your guardian to sign the contract as well as your sponsor. So make sure that you have everything signed before you get to UP.
Okay, now next question is, will it be possible to change the surety because scholarships and bursaries haven't replied yet and that section can't be left blank?
Okay, so this isn't a problem. Since your fee guarantor section should not be your scholar or your bursar, this section has to be your parent or your guardian. Make sure, please, that your surety is your parent or your guardian.
Okay, now the next one is, with the risk of COVID-19, why are we not allowed to email the contract instead of posting or delivering it in person?
Okay, so for this, UP requires the physical document for legal purposes. So it is critical that you post, courier, deliver it to us, please. No emails, no fax.
Okay. Now the next question is, we have delivered the signed contract but not correctly, and I cannot get to do this online.
Okay, so you can go through all the steps that we have demonstrated with you today and reprint the contract from your student portal by accessing it at www.up.ac.za/portal student and use the credentials that you have previously entered.
Okay, now the next question is, what date do I write in the space and ask for the date when the contract is signed?
This is also a good question because some of you might think that it should be signed on the day that you print it, but then you sign it on a different day. For this, you make sure, please, that you sign the contract on the day that it is signed. The date must be the signature date, not your print date.
Okay. Now, the next question is, when I type contract in the UP portal search bar, it says that I have no access to the contract. Is it possible for the contract to be resent to me?
Okay, so this is also quite an easy fix, so I'm glad you're asking this. I'm sure there's more people who have this question as well. Do not try and search it in the top, don't try and search contract in the search bar. Please click on the Student Center link in order to access your contract. From there, you will find it under the admissions column under online contract.
Let me quickly show you one more time. So if you go under the Student Center heading in your UP portal, there you click on Student Center. This will open again. Another tab, and then here's another tile here for you to click on UP Student Center. Then you scroll down, under Admission, there you will find Online Contract.
You will now be able to fill your credentials in, print and sign your contract.
Okay, now the next question is, can you kindly share the address to courier the contract to?
Okay, so for all couriers, please make sure you send your contract to the corner of Linwood and Roper Roads, University of Pretoria, Student Service Centre, Hatfield 0083. You will also be able to find them in the comments. You find all these addresses in the comment section.
Oh, looks like we've got another few questions to get through, so here's another one.
Okay.
Once I have signed my contract, will I be able to try and change my course to something else before I officially register?
So for this, you are able to change your course because the contract does apply to your entire undergraduate studies.
Yes. Okay, now the next one is, I couriered my contract, but I still have an outstanding online contract on my to-do list, so I'm not sure whether you received it or not.
So if there are no errors on your contract, this will mean that it has not been processed yet and will take some time. So remember to just go back onto your UP portal and keep checking from time to time.
Okay. Next question is, am I allowed to accept another academic program first, which is my first choice, once I've already accepted another one, my second choice?
Okay, so in this case, you cannot. However, you will be able to reject your second choice.
Okay. Now, the next one is, can I physically hand in the contract at the university?
Okay, so we do understand that there are different circumstances, and in some cases you might need to hand it in at the university. So for this, you can hand it in at the University Road entrance with security. But please bear in mind, follow all COVID-19 protocols, sanitize, social distance, and wear your masks when doing so. Just keep everybody safe.
Now, there's a few more questions. Let's have a look. What is the implication of signing the contract prior to the bursary approving the application? And since I'm over 25, I don't need a surety to sign?
Okay, so this has no implications because you are over 25 years old, so you will not need a surety. You make sure that you send your bursary letter to UP and all will be good.
That's a good question, actually. Now,
Yes.
The next one is, do I have to be in Pretoria before signing the contract, since it says signed at Pretoria on?
So you do not have to be in Pretoria for this. So you can make an amendment onto the contract. You will have to initial next to the amendment if you do use this option.
Okay. Next question. Are the officials still at the campus to receive the contract?
Yes, our officials are ready and waiting for your contract, so please do remember to send them in as soon as possible.
Okay, and now the next question is, I cannot click on the I have read the instructions button. Please help.
Okay, so you may have either completed the process or you may not have been admitted as of yet.
So just keep trying, just keep checking your admission status and then try and see if you can click on the I have read the instructions button.
Yes.
Okay, are there any more questions? It doesn't look like there
Looks
are.
like we've come to the end of the questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today, and we wish you all the best in starting your tertiary education with UP.
Now, we hope that this session has provided you with the help you need to complete your contract and stay up to date with the procedures involved before registering as a student at the University of Pretoria.
Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. A seed planted today takes root and grows into a tree that bears fruit in the future. Over 110 years ago, a seed was planted. Today, that seed, the idea of excellence, has grown into the University of Pretoria, South Africa's largest contact research-intensive university. 9 faculties and a business school are spread across 7 beautiful campuses, which are home to over 50,000 students, ready to make an impact in the world beyond university and join our global network of nearly 300,000 alumni. Future-focused, sustainably developed facilities and cutting-edge multi- and transdisciplinary research are underpinned by a desire to transform lives and have a positive impact on communities and the world. Excellence in teaching, learning, research innovation, arts and culture, and sports puts us firmly amongst the world's best universities. Knowledge is not just what is in books, it is the wisdom to apply it, to nourish and nurture the seed so that it takes root, grows tall, bears fruit, and branches out. UP plants that seed, that tiny bit of curiosity, creativity, critical thinking, hope, the desire to care, respect, help, and innovate against all odds, to grow, to leave your mark, to excel, to challenge the norm, to think, to rethink, to discover, to inquire, to lead, to have courage, to make a difference, and to persevere. This is the University of Pretoria. We make today and every day matter.